right, so today we were trying to locate a fish in the lower pond down here. So we drained the water out of that pond as far as we could, and we caught one. And so while that pond was low, I started draining this pond so that I can start putting my plant rings in and getting this more to what I want it to be. So I have taken out all the pipes that were creating the spout here. You can see that I've lowered the water considerably inside this tank, and now this water is draining directly to the lower pond down there. So what I wanted to do is get this water level low enough so that I'm not getting water coming out of going through into the big pond. Then I can take this liner and fold it back. I want to raise this location up, and that will let my whole liner come up some. As you can see here, I've got it kind of just clamped together so it wouldn't fall into the pond. This is a little too low, and I need to raise this up a couple of inches. So what I'm going to do is take this pipe out, cut it off, and then reinsert it, and then backfill underneath it and behind it. And so ultimately this liner will move away from the wall, which will allow it to move up. And then I'm going to create like a little sitting shelf here where you can sit there and put your feet over into the water and not have to worry about water spilling over the liner. So that's my first section that I want to get completed. Then I've got a little low spot here where the water gets right up to the edge of the liner. I want to bring that this way and let that liner rise up a little bit. So that'll fix that low spot. And then I want to make it to where you can't see the liner everywhere else. I've got plenty of liner to work with everywhere else. So if I can get these sections done, then ultimately I could just fill it back up and not worry about the pieces back here till the summer. But while it's drained, I'm going to try to get as much as I can done with the weather permitting. So I'm going to get started on this part now. We're trying to disassemble these things. Once they're assembled with this little rubber gasket installed, if you put those things together, the way the rubber gasket works is it slides together a little easier, but once it's going against the O-ring, it actually grabs on tighter. You can see like a bevel. The inside, this back edge here, is a smaller circumference than this first edge. So as you try to pull out, it actually rolls the gasket so it holds it in. So basically had to break that piece apart so that I could get my elbow off. I've kind of got it spaced out here. I'm not going to use these exact pieces, but that's about how high I think it needs to be. And it tells me how far away from the wall I have to be. So what I'm going to do right now, and it's also going to be fairly tall. First, I've got me a load of gravel here. I'm going to give me a nice smooth base. I'm going to take the shovel down here and move a little of this mud and try to make it a little bit smoother. Then I'm going to put the gravel in and make a nice flat base. And then I'm going to take a bunch of concrete blocks that I have acquired that I probably wouldn't use anywhere else just because they're not large enough. And I'm just going to start stacking them in here. And then I'm going to use a bunch of pavers to fill in the gap. So I want to make this nice and solid. I don't want to use anything that's going to rot or deteriorate. So stone or concrete or something like that's the best thing. So I'm going to use a bunch of my little scrap pieces in here and just fill all this in. And then once I put the water back in, it'll just press against that, and I'll have a nice, probably like an extra foot or maybe more of thickness here between this wall and the actual fish pond here. So I'm going to smooth this out, put the gravel in, and then just start stacking stones in. All right, so first I'm laying down a bunch of old broken tile, and I want to bury that because it's got some sharp edges. So I'm putting that in first and getting it pretty level. And then I'm taking these broken concrete They're like borders. They usually stand up vertical. I'm laying those down flat. I've got 2 pieces here, one there, where they were cut. And then I have one here that's broken, so I'm gonna put that on top. And then I have these larger stones that I'm gonna put on top of those and just kind of piece everything together, play a little bit of Tetris here, and get everything I can in here stacked nice and solid. And then I'll backfill it with a little bit more gravel to soften all the edges and make it just a little bit smoother for the liner. And then once I've got it pretty close, I'll get my drain in and then do everything I can to support that drain so that it doesn't move or get shifted if we're doing something inside there. So it needs to be nice and solid. So I want to get everything built up, and then I'll make the drain fit properly. All right, so I've got most of the material piled in here and stacked pretty tight. And so now what I want to do is start doing some backfilling. I've already put some over here to kind of smooth it out. I'm going to do a little bit here in the corner, and then I can start leaning the liner back against the stones. And once it starts filling up, the water will just push the liner up against the stones and stop. But what I want to do is lay it up on the stones. It goes across the top of the stone and then up just a little bit. And if I can get it to lip up onto the wall just that little bit, because that's about where the water level ends up being, and then I don't have to worry about it overflowing behind the liner, and I can put my natural stones or whatever finish material on top so that you don't really see the liner. Okay, I got my piece inside the wall here. I cut a piece and I hammered it as far in as I could, and now I've extended it out to where I need it to be. The liner will go up all the way on to that piece and be clamped to the fatter part of the bend. Okay, so I'm starting to refill the pond here. Got everything built up behind the liner so that there should be no pressure on that seam. I've built up some gravel around the pipe, and I will do that even further out once there's a little water in there and it won't push the plastic back down. And this little pocket here, I've just got to fold the plastic up just so that it fits in there nicely. But it's just really cold and stiff, so it's very difficult to get it to move. And so having a little water in there may help push it for me, put a little pressure on it. So I'm going to fill it up probably a quarter of the way, halfway, and just get a little pressure on it, and then we'll see how it goes. But for right now, I think this is going to be the end of my day today. So yesterday I came out and I built this little shelf here with pavers and gravel, so I can build on top of that if I want to create more height. I've got a few plant rings underneath this stone, 6 plant rings, 3 in a row, 2 high. So right here seems to be my shortest section where water may overflow, but I'm going to have everything is going to move in a little bit. So this step will probably end up just being a plant ring, and then I'll do a step on top of that. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. It is December 28th. We've had a few days without rain. As you can see, it still looks a little menacing, but it's been dry a few days, so I'm gonna try to get a little something done on this pond here. As you can see here, it's just a big old mess, big muddy mess. I'm gonna get started on that right now. This is all extra soil that I need to get out. Make sure I've got these filled up enough with rocks, backfill it, and then I'm gonna start my second layer around, and I want this to go all the way around. So I've still got a lot of work to do over there, but I need to be getting some of this mud out of here and into those plant rings so that it's not creating more problems for me as I move around, because I'm going to be digging out even more dirt over here. All right, this is about 6 hours worth of work today. I got the layers doubled up, and I was able to take a lot of the mud that had been washing down onto the liner and pack it into the crevices and kind of smooth everything out. Everything's looking good. Feel good about what I got done today. The next thing I need to get done is this area, and once I have this connected, then I can start laying my liner back over. This area can stay like it is. So far, so good. Everything's looking pretty nice, and I feel really good about what I got done today. All right, well, it's another day. Yesterday, once I was done, I moved all the leftover plant rings over onto the wall so that I can use my wheelbarrow to get over to this area. Today, my goal is to kind of get this area completed. I don't think that's going to be very difficult, but I'm a little bit sore from yesterday. I spent about 6 hours out here doing all of that. So I'm a little bit sore and tired, so I don't really want to do a whole lot today, but I need to get this area done so that I can start pushing the liner back into its place and kind of getting it set and maybe putting some more water in here. So I'm going to try to get that done, and then we'll see how things turn out after I get this kind of cleaned out. This area here where the water is coming into this pond is coming from all, back in this area. So I've got a little bit of moisture just seeping out of the ground right here, and it's making everything really muddy. So I need to get that out. I need to add some gravel, then do the stones, as you can see, like the little pavers. That becomes my base. And then I'll do a couple of rolls of the plant rings on top of that. And so that's going to be a little bit of a muddy mess. So it's probably going to take a little bit longer than some of this took. And maybe I can get a little bit done over here. It depends on how I feel. But ultimately, the goal is to get this done. So I'm going to get started. All right, so I've completed the rolls here. I'm going to have to backfill this area with gravel or just paver stones stacked on top of each other. I don't have enough room to get another plant ring in there, but right now I just need to start backfilling all of these, even the bottom ones. I've done a little bit. I put a few big stones in there and some mud and dirt, but I need to get those backfilled, packed in, and then, as you can see, I've already started packing mud up in between the lower ones. So I want to get those all packed in, get that first layer of mud, and that just helps smooth it out and give me some softer edges for the pond liner. So I'm going to get started on backfilling these things with a little bit of gravel, rocks, these big pavers. I've got quite a few that down here, and I still have a whole lot upstairs. So I'll get all that backfilled, and then I'll work on this little transition here, and hopefully I'll be ready to fold the liner over in a short while. All right, it is the end of the day. I'm very tired, but I have completed the roll all the way over to the other side and met up with the few that's under the tarp here. And I don't know if I'm going to carry that top roll all the way around. I do want a low spot where I can enter here easy. So this is all looking good. I got my little finish pad here. I may actually add a few more just to fill in this corner, but that's got everything pretty smooth and the height I want it. And so tomorrow I'm probably going to start rolling the liner back over into where it's going to be finished, and then start adding some water back. I need to add some mud in the crevices a little bit here to smooth that out, these last couple plant rings here, and kind of smooth out all the surfaces here. And then we'll be ready to put some water back in here and hopefully leave it for the most part. Now I do have some more work I want to do here, but that's not necessary at the moment. And maybe it's just adding a layer of pavers to raise it up just a little bit, or a couple of layers of pavers to get it a little higher. And the same thing here across the front, maybe a layer of pavers that goes across the top here to get it up level with the top of this pipe. And then I think we'll be ready to completely fill this fish pond back up and see what it looks like. That's the end of today, and so tomorrow will be hopefully just a little bit of work, and I can start putting some water back in here. All right, well, it's a new day working on the pond. It is January 4th, I believe, today, so we're well into the new year, so happy new year. I'm gonna try to get this liner pulled back up over the plant rings today and hopefully backfill some of this water and just see how far the water's going to come up and just kind of test it out. So that's my goal for today. I'm also going to build up this area. I'm going to bring it up a little bit closer to the top of that pipe and all the way around to the other plant rings. All right, well, I think I am ready to put the liner in. So I took away plant rings that were here, and I'm going to go ahead and lay the liner up on the bricks there, and then I'm going to set the plant rings on top of that and kind of work my way across. But we'll see how things play out. I'm going to backfill. I'm going to go ahead and lay the liner back over the stones and the plant rings, fill it up, and then just see what it looks like, because I can always just drain it out and fold the liner back down. But I want to fill it up at least to this lip here, or that lip, and get it to where it's pushing the liner as far as it will go. And then we'll see how high it comes up over here. And this is not level. These rings are not level. They're close, but it's rising as it goes around, so that's why I stepped it down. And I didn't notice that until I had already turned the corner here and already put in a bunch of rings, so I wasn't going to back it out. It's not that important for it to be level. I went ahead and took the rings away there, and I still need to backfill those rings. I don't want to backfill them just yet because I may do that with dirt or a combination of dirt and rock. So I'm going to go ahead and fold the liner back up and start filling it back in with water. All right, well, I've got my liner all folded back out. It's really stiff because it's cold. It's a heavy duty plastic. I want to say it's 6 millionths of an inch thick, so it's really thick, and it's also very cold. But I've got the water filling. It's going in nicely. I've got it lipped up a couple of inches above the drain, above the entrance, and I took my level and leveled it off to here. So actually this is just a little bit higher than my point here. So that's temporary. I just put, those are just pieces kind of stacked together. But I've got everything folded over. I've got everything pushed up nice against the edges. And then the weight of the water will help push it against the walls. I want to see when it gets up to above this mark here or about that mark, how that translates to over here and on the sides here. This was my lowest point over here where you could walk into the pond because of the way the liner is made. And so that ended up being the shortest portion. So it overflows there first, and then probably in this area. So hopefully we've got it built up high enough without any problems here. I know this is high enough. We'll find out if that's actually high enough once it's got some water in there, but I think it's gonna look nice, and hopefully this will be the last time I have to really drain it down. I may drain it down to that first notch, about where the water depth is now. That way I can still walk around in there, and I can start putting my stones along the edges and doing what I need to do there. I think this is going to turn out really good. I'm going to call this this project complete for the moment. It's to a stopping point. I've got some other projects I need to get done, and this one has been just kind of dragging on because of the rain. I may come out here and do some small stuff, but we'll cover all that finish work in a new video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Happy New Year, and come back soon for some more updates on the garden areas, some stuff up here, and some more house renovation stuff. I'm starting to get back on some of those things now that this project is done. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.